Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to module 2. Really excited to bring you this part of the training program. Great job making it this far. You've got your business plan in place. You've almost got to think of this like your first week or several weeks in a professional trading environment. That's really the purpose of this module. As you see here, it's really step one. So you would have just come off the back of done your timetable, and as you will note, the first section is raw data. So really, in your first few weeks in a professional trading environment, they're really going to start to show you and develop some understanding within yourself of what is going on behind the charts. So traditionally, you may call it supply and demand, whatever it is. What's actually driving price? Now, obviously, you're not actually in a professional trading firm, which has its pros and cons, but my personal opinion is that there's infinite advantages over you actually doing this in the privacy of your own home. Firstly, you can do it at your own pace, and then much more importantly, you don't have the pressure of having to produce within a certain time frame. You can really keep revisiting these topics again and again. So what we're going to do first is we're going to have a think about what is your job. What's your job going to be as a trader? What are you actually trying to do here? Now, would you agree it's actually quite simple at its very core, and that is you're basically trying to predict price. Predict price, right? Now, why do I say this? This really comes to the next question. What is it that we're actually trading? Well, guys, I've been going on and on about these real world vocations and jobs that you're obviously going to be familiar with, but if you think about it, it's no different. Again, with say personal training, what is the price that you may, there's going to be many prices that you obviously want to keep on top of, but mainly it is subscription fees, right? Or personal training fees that you want to have a good handle on. If you are doing a business plan, and don't forget our business here, trading business, doesn't actually start until the day that we trade real money. So like I said, in a professional trading firm, that may not be for 6, 9 months, even a year, before you start trading real money. So we have plenty of time now where we're still going to be working on the final details of our execution phase. And one of those is trying to understand what those fees are. So even if you're a personal trainer, before you actually go out there and start charging people, obviously as part of your business plan, you're going to try and figure out, okay, where's the market generally in terms of fees? What can I charge? Where's it likely to be in 6 months' time? Come on, guys. If you, due to certain factors, come to the conclusion that personal training fees are going to drop by 50% over the 6 months, clearly you're going to have a quick double think about whether that's the right business for you in the immediate future to go into. So that's why I say it's absolutely crucial before again you get to the execution phase that you have a handle on fees. Now the other areas that we discussed were, there was a hairdresser, right? So again, what are likely to be the fees that you can command? So that's personal training fees, that's hairdressing fees, right? Same things apply. You can charge people to have a haircut. What's that likely to do over the future? You're trying to forecast, predict price again. What else was there? There was obviously legal fees if you're trying to be a lawyer. There's so we've got to have a distinction here. This is if you're starting your own business. Obviously, if you were going to go and work for someone else, you're probably not so concerned about that. You're just going to get paid a wage, but there's going to be someone at the firm looking at this stuff. But the point is, guys, are you being paid to be a trader? No, you're not. You're starting your own trading business, albeit by yourself. So you need to understand, in the same way these guys do, that you are essentially fulfilling the same function that someone starting up any of these businesses is doing, which is that they're trying to forecast the price. There's no difference. So we've discussed a few examples, real world examples. Now, if we come to a trader, so this was a personal trainer, this is a hairdresser, and this is a trader. What exactly is it? It's exactly the same, guys. Might not be fees, but it's a price. And the asset here is a subscription fee. The asset here is just a financial asset, no different. Right, so that is a trader. You know, this is going on all the time. Even we talked about a mechanic, being a mechanic a lot. There's going to be so many inputs that go into, whether it be, you know, paint, you're obviously getting into that side of the automotive industry, or whether it's actual tools that you're using. And let's say you're actually starting a business as a mechanic shop. Obviously, you want to get a feel for the price of tools, and there's going to be certain tools that can need constantly replenishing. Now, you obviously want to get a feel for that when you're doing your business plan, what that price is likely to do in the future. So you're going to be forecasting in all roles that you're doing in life, especially if you start your own business, and it's no different. My point is, why I keep going on about this is because that price you're forecasting is no different to the price that you forecast pound, dollar, stocks, oil, etc., etc. So my point is that you're not going to be using technical analysis tools to forecast the price of where subscription fees are going to go for personal training, for a haircut, for the costs that are involved in the mechanics or in legal fees. Guys, it's ludicrous. We've said it so many times. So you're not going to be doing that, or you shouldn't be doing that, and a professional firm is certainly not going to be allowing you, let alone teaching you to do that. So what are they doing? Well, it's supply and demand factors, right? So let's think about these things. What is driving the price of subscription fees for a personal trainer is supply and demand factors, right? The amount of people willing to give personal training, and that is intent as far as it comes to when it comes to order flow. And then the amount of people actually willing to make an aggressive decision to purchase that. So that's likely to that's obviously going to be the customer. So that's called actual aggression. And we're going to come to this, but in the depth of market, if you remember the picture of the depth of market where you had those extra 4 columns that you don't see, the inside 2 are essentially showing you the aggression, and then the intention or the availability of supply is the outside 2. So we said there were 4 extra factors. 1 and 2 was the bid and ask. 3 and 4 is the intention, and then 5 and 6 is this actual aggression. So it applies to every market, guys. If you think of hairdressers, same thing. What's the availability? If suddenly tomorrow in the entire country there were only 2 hairdressers, would you agree the price of a haircut is going to shoot up? So that's the supply, again, the intention or the availability, which is shown in the last 2 columns on a depth of market. And then the aggression is obviously people actually and I say aggression because even if there were only 2 hairdressers in the entire country, if no one was willing to go and actually physically pay money, then a transaction would never take place. So again, it's the same factor, supply, and then demand is. So supply is not necessarily only selling; it's also it's just availability of the buy side and the sell side, especially in financial markets where you can buy and sell. It's just traditionally, obviously, people think of it as one direction, because when you think of demand out in the real world, you think of people buying, whereas obviously in financial markets you can buy and sell, so it applies both ways. It's availability of supply, of people willing to buy and sell, and then aggression of people willing to buy and sell. So again, we'll come back to that. My only point of this is that It applies to everything in life, guys. So same thing in, say, pound, dollar, stocks and oil, and that's what's driving the price. It's the availability of supply, of sales and purchases, and also the actual demand and supply in terms of aggression. So we're going to look at that in the depth of market. And then finally, just to say that, it's obvious, and I said it before, you just can't start a business, guys. You can't get into the execution phase of trading real money till you actually understand what's driving your market and what your input costs are likely to be. It applies unilaterally to any business. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to slowly introduce you to something called the time and sales. We're going to keep coming back to this intent versus actual aggression, which is those extra 4 pieces of information we went over in our Part B business plan of tools. All you need to understand is that what you really need to understand is that on the depth of market is the only place where you're going. So depth of market is the tool that you saw with the 4 columns and then the price on the left, which we're going to have a look at in a few slides time. That's the only place you're going to see the actual intention, the availability of contracts to buy or sell. The people actually doing the buy and selling, that's available pretty much across the board. And that's an important distinction to make, but we're going to make that again and again, and I'll show you why. It's difficult to describe on one slide, but with real examples, I'm going to show you the difference and why, for certain purposes, looking at the actual transactions taking place is typically much more important than the intention. And that's to do with something called spoofing, which you may have heard of in the news, where a lot of these intentions can be fake. So we're going to come back to that, and I'll see you on the next slide.